Okay, we have been talking about conflict, stage one, stage two conflict, how we got there, and what happens when you're there. So moving forward, we want to talk about how do we get out of that? How do we get out of the past? How do we move forward?
Conflict Mediation and You is sponsored by the Center for Dispute Solutions.
Hi, welcome to Conflict, Mediation, and You. I'm Rick.
And I'm Robert.
And we're with the Center for Dispute Solutions. And our contact information is 404-991-0072. If you want to get in touch with us, please do.
Okay, so today we're going to continue with where we left off around conflict one, stage one conflict, and stage two.
Yes.
And we talked about how we got there and how the communication skills can help us get out of that. But what we really want to focus on today is how do we move from the past into the future? How do we move into resolving the conflict?
Yeah, we have to get out of this this arguing over the past fact scenarios, your interpretation versus my interpretation, and get past me trying to convince you. Because right now in both of our minds, the only resolution is to convince you that I'm right.
It has to be done my way.
Right.
Okay.
And how hard it is, most people don't realize this until we actually say it. Do you know how hard it is to change someone else's mind?
Is that possible?
Right. It takes an awful lot of energy, and yet that's what we end up doing. We spend all of our energy trying to get you to agree with me, threat, punish, shaming, guilting the other person, thinking that that's going to work. When in fact, when it doesn't, it just makes things worse.
It just escalates the conflict.
Right.
Okay.
So one of the things that we have to pay attention to in terms of this scenario that we're working on is that photograph of loss that has popped into your head when you didn't get your money and then when I said no. And the photograph of loss that literally pops into my head when you ask me for the money, what's going to happen if I give it to you, so I say no. In addition to that, not only are you upset now, a resolver of our conflict must not only deal with the fact that I haven't given you the money, but now the whole trustworthiness. You literally believe that I am for that terrible scenario that's going in your head, that I'm responsible.
You're to blame for that.
Right.
Yes.
And so it's since the trust has been deteriorated, communication skills really can't rebuild that bridge once that trust is gone. It's very, very, very hard. Some people even go so far as to say, once trust is lost, you can't rebuild it. I don't know if that's true or not, but a lot of people think that.
Well, I think we've both heard that many times before.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
what are we going to do? How are we going to get out of this past?
well, we need to change the picture that we each have in our heads right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the pictures that are running through my head, the pictures that are running through your head at my not getting the $100 and you keeping the $100.
Yep.
So, you know, how do we're going to have to change those pictures, if you will.
Right.
So we want to make this a different picture. So we need to go through a process so that we can start creating those different, better pictures, if you will.
Right.
So
now we're going to get to this place where we have not seen anybody else explore. We call this what we're about to do is called need exploration. And we have found this to be the number one skill missing across the board in all conflict management training.
right.
Instead, most people will, let's identify the problem and then generate options, and they'll generate options that really doesn't address this photograph of loss in both of our heads. So we need to do need exploration. And it starts, this is the beautiful part of this, it starts with the request and it starts with the no.
That's where it starts.
That's where it starts.
Okay.
So instead, now here's the beauty of this. Any conflict resolver stepping in to manage this conflict, what they need to do is get the request as soon as possible. So I can skip the past completely because I know that the resolution of this conflict is actually in the future, which, as we said in another episode, is conflict management secret number 4. All resolutions are
future
oriented. So
if I give you the request, my request,
Mhm.
that'll do it?
well, I need to explore that request because you have asked, give me the request again.
The request is for $100.
Yeah, you want your money back.
Yes.
Now, if I'm sitting here as a resolver of conflict, the very next question would be a question that would explore what it's going to mean to get that, or more importantly, what's going to happen if we don't get it. As soon as I ask you what's going to happen if you don't get your $100, what would you tell me?
Well, as part of what I told you before was the thing around the car payment.
Exactly.
So that would be the beginning.
That's your photograph of loss. So, and then inside that photograph of loss, there's a basic human need that's fueling that photograph. Could you tell me what that need was?
Transportation.
Transportation, but that's not a basic human need.
It's basic to me. I have to get to work. So.
See, this is where a lot of people get stuck. If we think about, just for the sake of conversation, this is an easy one to do, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And what Maslow is saying, and when people...
You know, one thing, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you might want to just give a little bit about Maslow.
Maslow, yes.
I mean, we know him. He lives down the street from us. But, you know.
That's the neighbor's dog. Here, Maslow, here, Maslow. No, Maslow did some research on what it takes in terms of what a human being needs fundamentally in order to survive and grow healthily as a human being. And he called them basic human needs, and he put them in a hierarchy. So it's always called Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
So, do you remember what's on the bottom?
Well, those survival.
Yeah,
Basic,
food, clothing, yeah, all those physiological. And then right above that was safety.
Safety.
Above that was
Social.
belonging.
Belonging, then social.
Yep. And then at the very tip top,
It's where no one ever gets to. Self-actualization.
Self-actualization.
Yeah.
So when we start to think about what's driving this conflict, here's what we've discovered. What drives every conflict is a threat to a basic human need.
So this is the bottom of the chart, so to speak.
It could very well be. So if you don't get your transportation, what's going to happen?
If I don't get my transportation, I could lose my job.
Yeah.
If I lose my job, then I don't have any money coming in.
Right.
If I don't have any money coming in, one of the things that could happen is that I couldn't feed myself.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't feed myself, then I could starve. So
And if you starve.
So I need my car back because it really does fulfill a basic need for me.
Right, right. And so here's what we end up doing. We fight over the money instead of actually figuring out what the need is. If we could figure out what the need is, we would have more options available. The car is just one option for meeting that need.
Well, the car is, I need the car to get to work. So you're saying there are more options or more ways to get to work?
More ways to get to work. That doesn't include this $100.
You're really trying to get out of this, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Are you suggesting that I could walk?
Well, you could walk. That would be one way to get to work. You could, what else could you do?
I like riding my bicycle.
Ooh, you could ride a bicycle. What else?
Always wanted to do a skateboard.
Ooh, wow. Really? Okay, skateboard. Go ahead.
There's a fear around that, though.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I could thumb a ride, I could get on the side of the road and
Hitchhike.
put my thumb out. Yeah.
Yeah. What about Uber?
Yeah, but Uber would require payment.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, so you got to find a way to. What if
I could use your car.
you could use my car?
Yeah.
Right. What if I drove? I mean, you could drive or I drive, but you could actually take my car.
I'd rather take your car. I don't trust your
You
driving.
don't trust my driving.
So-
Okay. So notice there are multiple ways. You got more?
Decided.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, there's multiple ways to meet that need of sustenance that you're going to have to accomplish. So if
Right.
we actually address all of those. So the question would be, if I didn't give you your $100, but I found a way to consistently get you back and forth from work,
Then I might let the $100 go.
yeah, what's more important to you? Your
$100 for
keeping
getting
your
to work.
job or getting to work?
Well, keeping a job would give me much more than $100, so that's
Right.
important.
Right.
Okay.
So behind every request, and everybody comes to the conflict with a request in mind. Remember, an explanation and then an expectation, thinking that if I can actually get my $100, this need will be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And when I don't give you the $100, there's a threat to that basic human need. Now, here's what's really interesting. Is fighting for your survival worth it?
I think so.
Yeah. If the outcome is you starving or the outcome is you becoming homeless, you better engage me.
I have to.
You have to
I have
engage
to.
me.
Yes.
So we're back to conflict management secret number one. People only fight about things they care about. Do you care about your food, clothing, shelter?
I believe I do.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Now, you now get the sense of why my no was so devastating.
Now, yeah, and I think it's very important to point that out, but it took us a while to get out why I wanted my $100 or why I wanted my $100 back. Now, when people go through this process, they go through it very quickly.
Yes.
And most of the time, we don't even realize that we're going through that process. But we're accustomed to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we're computers.
Yeah.
So you feed something in, and it crunches through, and it says, okay, no, I can't accept that. I can't accept not getting my $100, because if I don't get my $100, somewhere down the road, I could go hungry.
Right.
Homeless.
Homeless, right. And so we don't stop to think about what that originating thing was. We just fight harder for the car, for the money. That's and it goes nowhere.
So when we do need exploration, we actually walk parties through that process so that they can see what's behind the request.
Right.
Okay.
And in order, once we get that request, those needs, then there's always more than one way to meet a need, which gets us to conflict management secret number 3.
That there's more than one way to solve a problem.
We had 7 just sitting
Yeah.
here in a few minutes. So
And had I kept going, we would have come up with more than 10.
yeah. We train our conflict managers to come up with 10. There's
At least 10,
always 10,
yeah.
yeah. So, how about if we take a break, come back, and talk about maybe exploring the need behind the no?
Okay? Sounds like a good thing.
Very good. Let's go to our sponsors.
How does your small business stay top of mind with customers? From deals that bring them in with an offer, to social media promotions that turn fans into customers, to events that engage and create buzz, to emails that keep loyal customers coming back. Our easy-to-use tools will keep you in front of your customers.
Visita provides a complete business calendar, fully integrated with your client scheduling experience. You can view and manage your daily schedule, and any upcoming meetings, and most importantly, schedule new appointments and follow-ups with your clients. Using vCita Calendar for client scheduling will save you time and deliver a better service to your clients. vCita Calendar automatically syncs with your existing calendar on Google, Outlook, iPhone, and more.
Okay, welcome back. We've already talked about your need, and we get to your need by exploring the request. It's different with the other party. And
With
me.
your no.
Yes.
Okay.
We have to investigate the no. So, if I'm a conflict resolver, then I'm sitting here not worried about the past, not investigating the past, not asking questions about the past. I'm going to ask questions to dig into what does your request fulfill and what risk is there if it's not fulfilled, but also the no. Why did I say no? And here's what's interesting about this. It's a little bit different than a request. Basically, I mean, we could dig it down. I'm requesting that I get to keep the money. And then you would say,
No.
no, see, so we could dig into, well, Rick, why do you want to keep the money? What's going to happen if you don't get to keep the money? But here's something else more interesting about no's. Inside every no is a yes to something else. It is impossible to say no without, at the exact same time, saying yes to something else.
Again, that's done very quickly. And in the moment, you might not know what you're saying yes to.
We are taught not to reflect on any of these things. We just, we say the no and we get adamant about the no, but we don't stop to think that, well, what was I saying yes to? If I say no to you, I'm saying yes to something that is very, very important to me, or I would not say no. And add to that the fact that we were friends at one time.
I like the use of the word word.
So that to even say no and risk the friendship indicates how important what I was saying yes to is. So it's worth exploring.
So would you do exploring for the yes the same way that we did exploring for...
Yes.
Okay.
So we need to paint the picture, or at least I need to ask enough questions so that the answer paints the picture. What is going to happen to you if you end up giving up the money?
Mm-hmm.
What were you saying yes to? I was saying yes to, well, for example, in this case, I'm not going to give you the money because I'm going, let's complicate this just a little bit, because I'm going to spend the money on a romantic dinner with my wife.
Which, in your mind, is more important than anything that I could put out.
Right.
Okay.
A romantic dinner with you just really would not equal a romantic dinner with my wife.
For that thought, I would say keep the 100.
Ah, see? I got the 100. Conflict over.
Well, that didn't take too long.
Right.
Now, back it up. Or
Okay.
So you're saying yes to a romantic dinner with your wife.
Right.
Okay. Are there other things that you're saying yes to?
That's if in my mind. If I'm saying if I give you the money, then I lose out on that.
Okay.
So if we're thinking of Maslow's hierarchy, we've got the food, clothing, shelter. We got belonging, safety. We got belonging. We got esteem. Which one does that point to?
Certainly not as self-esteem.
No.
No, we're not that high.
No.
So we're going to drop down the scale.
So maybe belonging.
Yeah, because you would stay engaged with your family and your wife. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Now, it could be safety if I don't have what that might mean.
Kick it up a notch.
Okay, all right. We can keep it at belonging, right? So as soon as my no, I'm saying no to you. I'm saying yes to my relationship with my wife. I'm saying yes to that, keeping that connection that meets my need of belonging.
Okay.
And if you continue to insist that I give you that money, then that whole threat is becoming a reality. And I can't live with that.
Right.
So I have to fight you.
So the conflict continues
Yeah.
unless we can come to an agreement on what would satisfy your yes and also my yes.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. There's a lot of yeses in there. So add, you can see now the element, how it becomes so important that not only is this about money and why stage 2 conflict is harder to resolve, because it's got that fundamental threat involved. And then associated with it, that mistrust that you obviously don't care that my life's about to be damaged
apart, yeah.
or ruined. And when we think about it from the perspective of a basic human need, in some sense, this is a bit of an exaggeration, but we're kind of fighting for our survival.
And that's what the basic needs address.
That's what it indicates.
Okay.
Now, the reason that becomes helpful is there's always more than one way to meet a need. So how many different ways could we make sure that I stay connected to my wife or have a sense of belonging that doesn't include that $100?
You could volunteer to clean a house for her.
Okay, that's one. What else?
Okay, you could, what else could you do? You could compliment her.
I could do that. That'd be cheaper.
You could cook dinner.
Cook dinner, that might be a threat to her basic human need. What else?
Let's see, what else? You could take care of the kids. You could give her a night
A
out.
night off
Yeah.
with the. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She'd probably like that. What else?
Let's see, what else could you do that would get you out of taking her out to dinner?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could go out to dinner, but it wouldn't necessarily have to be as expensive or as nice as what you had in mind.
Yeah, yeah. I could do other romantic things that doesn't include an expensive restaurant, like
Or you-
flowers or
Or edible eats.
edible eats.
Yeah, that's a nice one because then she's getting something nice delivered, and there's food involved.
Right. Okay, that's 5.
Okay.
What else?
Well, I was going down the road of still with the dinner thing, but not quite as elaborate or as expensive. But you could buy her something nice, a nice blouse, a piece of jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
Even give her a spa day, if you will.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So she could go get a spa. Yeah.
I could write her. Some women like to have, notes or poetry or a card written to her.
Okay. If you say so.
That might be easier than feeding her. I don't know. Go for a walk.
Okay.
Just-
How many? What do you?
Well, we're up to 8 already.
Okay.
I mean, now they might not all be realistic, but out of those 8, now notice we had 8 on my list. We have 7 on your list.
Mm-hmm.
What's 8 and 7?
Well, that's what is 8 and 7? That's 15.
15. Now we have 15 different options.
To resolve this one. 15 possible options to resolve this conflict.
Yeah.
Okay. That's impressive. So now we have this list of 15 that we can go from.
Yep.
Do we combine the list?
We could. I mean, the sense is, if would I be willing to help you get your basic need met, if you would be willing to get my basic need met. So now we have to have a conversation.
Well, if we do that, if I agree to that, then we both could walk away winners, if you will.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Because we're back to this. Would I be willing to give up the $100 if I knew that there was a way to solidify my attachment to my wife? And if you were willing to help with that, and I was willing to help with you getting your food, clothing, shelter met.
Okay, so having the options that the 15 options. At this point, do we take that and start? We take a look at them because some of the options probably weren't realistic.
Right.
But we start looking at the options and saying what would work for both of us.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would have to, let's say, pick an option that works for me, that I would be willing to live with, and you would do likewise.
Yes.
And once we do that, then what happens? I mean, because I have in mind something that might work for me.
Right. Well, once we get the basic human need and we get the multiple options, then it's a matter of evaluating them and turning them into some sort of action plans. What would it take to actually, I'll sit down and write poetry, or sit down and cook dinner, or go for a walk, or what would that take? We come up with an action plan that could make it realistic. Some of them, like you say, are not. Skateboard to work probably is not going to be
No,
realistic.
skateboard on 285 probably wouldn't work.
No, that would be another threat to a basic human need.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So we actually could we have many more possibilities with those 15, your 7 and my 8, than we did at the very beginning. Do you remember how we started this whole conflict? We only had,
Well, this was only one,
yeah,
you know,
give me my money.
or else.
No, yes, right? So we've taken a conflict and everybody comes to a conflict with one option, and they fight over that one option. And here's the number one mistake people make. They fight over an option rather than negotiating their needs.
Well, most people don't know what their need is.
Right.
So what we've just said is that the need, in this case, was $100. And that probably wasn't a real need.
No, not at all. Now, you're so right that not only do we not know how to do this, every conflict I've ever been in, and I would dare say every conflict you've worked on, the people in that room don't know their need because we've never been taught how to do need exploration. Nobody has ever, wasn't taught to us in school. It's not modeled for us on TV anywhere in any kind of sitcom or movie situation. It's not demonstrated or taught in the workplace. This is nowhere available to us, so why would we stop and think about it? No, we just keep fighting that one.
Well, that's what we're conditioned to do. Even though in some mediations, the parties are able to come to a resolution when their need is placed on the table, and they might not know how they got to that.
Mm-hmm.
But once it's out there and they can look at it, then that usually takes care of the conflict.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. You typically, more and more, we exponentially increase the chances of finding a resolution to this, well, by 15. Whereas we started with 1. Now we have 15 possibilities to at least play with or look at. And my experience when we do this kind of creative process of coming up with things, that brainstorming, that while one may be ridiculous, it may spark the idea of another one.
Right,
So
right.
it comes to that.
So perhaps we need to talk more about that process in an upcoming segment.
Yeah. What do you do now that you've got some action plans? What is it that we need to be doing next to really solidify an agreement that we're both happy with? And yeah, we need to save that for another time.
Yeah, they'll make that a topic for an upcoming episode then.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. You still don't get your $100 yet.
Oh, yeah, well.
No.
Tell the people where they can contact us.
All right. Well, contact us at Center for Dispute Solutions and www.centerfordisputeSolutions.com, or call us 404-991-0072. Shall we get out?
I think it's time to get out.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.